What exactly are media buyers and why are they currently going extinct? For most of you watching this, you're used to the digital version of media buying, but we don't really often talk also about the traditional sense of media buying. So purchasing media space on television, radio, newspapers, etc. Although I'd love to talk about it, I'm not really an expert in that traditional sense. In today's video, I want to talk more about the online version of media buying and how it's really evolved at our agency over the last few years. And if you're thinking, why should I listen to this guy? What does he know about media buying? Well, I've overseen our team who's managed a total ad spend of over $10 million in these last few years. And since 2020 alone, we've worked or consulted with over 60 clients at the agency. My name is Justin and I'm the founder at Wizo Media, an e-commerce marketing agency specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. So let's start by reading the definition of media buying. I know it might sound trivial, but I still want to emphasize that to start this video. So media buying is a process used in paid marketing efforts. The goal is to identify and purchase ad space on channels that are relevant to the target audience at the optimal time for the least amount of money. And then if we keep scrolling down, basically what we see right here is media buyers oversee the media buying process with input from the media planning team. With an understanding of marketing goals and target audience preferences given by the media planning team, media buyers execute the actual purchase of the advertising space. So if we go to the recent news and the recent kind of evolvement of those ad platforms, media buyers are honestly fading away slowly but surely. So if we zoom into one of the parts that I just read, with an understanding of marketing goals and target audience preferences given by the media planning team, media buyers execute the actual purchase of the advertisement space. The marketing goals and target audience preferences. So if we start from the fact that 1, broad is now better, that 2, there's now campaigns like Advantage Plus campaigns that are now out, and 3, that Facebook recommends that you start opening up your audiences and even enforce it by default because you reach an extended audience whenever you create a new campaign. Then we go on the fact that actually using target audience preferences in the media buying sense is irrelevant. You don't necessarily enforce a specific target anymore besides probably demographics. So age, gender, location, that's about it. You don't really enforce any of the interest or sub-interest that you would tap into. So now that's basically half of what a media buyer would have to do is the campaign structure around finding the right target audience preferences on paid social platforms like Facebook or TikTok as an example. Now the second one, marketing goals, I think it's still relevant. So currently it's still relevant to have somebody who understands how to play with budgets, when to scale, when not to scale. But yet again, if you've seen some of my recent videos talking about the DCT structure that we've leveraged at the agency, the scaling process is honestly pretty productized. If you really wanted to automate most of it, you probably could with rules. Therefore, a media buyer would only need to be there to kind of oversee and just make sure the process is not breaking. Now, second thing that I want to dive into in this video is less from the definition standpoint, but more from a real life example. So we've seen in the last few weeks what happens if Meta fails, right? If Meta fails at doing their job, which is basically offering you stable ad performances and a stable ad platform like they did a few weeks ago on a Sunday morning, then again, that is something where if everything fails, right? If any of the automations that you have on there, if the computer fails, because that's basically what happened. A lot of people had stop loss rules on their ad accounts and Facebook just completely disregarded any of that and just went over to spend too fast, and basically any of the fundamentals that people thought were secured within their ad account were tossed away. This is where, yet again, a media buyer comes in, because a media buyer can spot these anomalies. And if they don't spot it because they're using a tool like TripleWell as an example that offers you Lighthouse, which is what we have at the agency. We had push notifications on for all clients and had a little pop-up that told us, hey, spend is up 281% in 1 hour. There's a problem, right? But the person to take action on it is a media buyer. So at this point, we figured out that a media buyer is not really needed in the targeting anymore. They're more supervising for errors. Now, third and fourth part remaining in this video, the third one is branding. I would argue that now a media buyer just needs to make sure that branding guidelines are respected on the platform. That is ad placements. Some specific brands want ads to be shown in a very specific way. If they are recording a 9:16 asset, it must only be shown in a 9:16 placement, can't be cropped. Or if they're recording on the flip side, a 1:1 or 4:5 asset, can't be shown in a story, can't be shown on a reel. They only want that to be feed. So I'd say that's something that, again, we still need a media buyer for. And the fourth thing is more the technical side of it. It's more like pixels breaking. What's happening with the pixel? How can you fix the pixel and make sure that you properly reintegrate conversion API? Or being the person that recommends that people opt in specific tracking solutions, maybe even expand to a new ad channel. But I could also argue that that would be more of a strategist position. So that said, a media buyer in its purest form, which is only supposed to be somebody who manages the ad account structure, the tracking, and the uploading and managing of the ads, now has been really diminished. That job can honestly be done by pretty much any VA at this point. So whether or not you're familiar with an agency model, usually you'll find pods within an agency, which are a group of team members who work with a group of clients. So in its simplest form, let's just say you have 3 team members who work together all the time, and these 3 members work together all the time with, let's say, 10 clients. So these team members would usually be the following. You could have a creative specialist or editor, so somebody who edits all of the asset. You have a media buyer, and you have some form of strategist. Now, these last 2 roles, the media buyer and the strategist in there, we've combined them at the agency, at least for now. We're open to changing it in the future. And in fact, we're also in talks with some potential strategists to see if this is worth for us to split this into 2 roles, considering that now the media buyer doesn't have much to do on the media buying side. If you've got big goals, big aspirations, you want to make a career in marketing and you want to keep growing and know that in a few years, you'll still have a job, and second, that you can raise your pay grade, you must move out of media buying. You must start understanding creative strategy. I had a media buyer at the agency, been with us for months, and now leaving the agency to go work with this other agency that essentially is more now in a very kind of traditional media buying role. And that again, to me, is I'd be very worried. I'd be terrified for the future if I was put in that position, because I'm just seeing this moving so fast, so rapidly, and especially if you're using platforms like TripleWell, where again, most of the decisions and insights are automated. Any anomalies on there, so you know if you're advertising something out of stock, you know if you're spending too much, you know if stock is running low on a specific SKU. So either you're already out of stock or stock is running low. So you also know that if your spending again is decreased or increased, like you know everything just by a quick look at Lighthouse. And then they also have analytics where you can compare essentially trends within an account. Like you can compare, let's say, Facebook with Klaviyo and then see if there's a peak in Facebook, well, that same peak comes in on Klaviyo. It's like all of your insight is now in a software. So if all you're doing is media buying, truthfully, you should be running the other way. You should be running towards creative strategy. And if you're working with an agency or team right now that is only doing media buying, nothing else, they're only placing your ads, chances are you can do that job yourself. It is not something that's complicated. It is not something that demands a lot of time to complete. What you must be getting out of an agency or team is at least some form of strategy and insights. They must help you either market-wise or creative-wise. I'm actually planning on releasing more and more videos on creative strategy in our free PCAD community, which you can find down below in the first link in the description. Join that again, it's completely free. There's a full mini course right now out on e-commerce, economics, and paid advertising, but I will dive deeper into the creative part of things. But with that being said, already for years, the role of media buyer has usually been outsourced. Most agencies I know, most e-commerce brands that I know who work with purely media buyers, they come from countries around the world like Brazil, Colombia, from countries in Eastern Europe, because cost of living is lower, salaries and payments can therefore be lower. And this was already a role that could be pretty productized for the last 3 or so years, I would say. But now even more so, I'd say it's becoming increasingly easier to media buy. Where the value really lies now is in the creative strategy and overall market understanding. So I highly recommend you check out one of the videos on the channel that I recently made. It's a podcast, Intent Builders, episode number 5, with Professor Charlie, who's talking a lot about why he doesn't look at ROAS, what he looks at instead. And he ends the video with 7 lessons, which I'll actually clip into his whole separate video very soon. But 7 tips or 7 areas that you should focus on within your e-commerce business. On one hand, there's 3, on the other hand, there's 4. He says pick 3 out of the bunch and just hone down on this. And as a media buyer, I would check this video out and pick 3 that I want to master on top of my existing skills. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're going to have a beautiful day. If you are an e-commerce brand owner looking to work with an agency that can help you with both the paid advertising and the media creation side of things, check the description down below and book in a call with our team. On that note, I'm going to see you guys in next video. Peace.